Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman. I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. My guests today are Camille and Logan from Punch List Digital. So Logan, what does Punch List Digital do?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you, Paul, for having us. We're excited to talk to, your expansive group of contractors today about some business success tips. But Punchlist Digital is a digital advertising agency that markets specifically for the trades. So our goal is to drive really high quality leads that, of course, keep your technicians busy and on the roads, but then also drive revenue in the process.
Okay, now there's a lot of marketing agencies out there. Everybody says they're new, different, and awesome. They all are special, right? So the question is, what do you do differently than what you consider other agencies will do?
Yeah, well, I think one of the very first things that we do differently is we track the entire customer journey from click to phone call or contact form chat, all the way to the appointment being booked and then the revenue associated with that booking. So that's called offline conversion integration. And one thing that's really important, especially as we enter into an era of even more data points, is understanding which leads are actually quality and drive revenue for your business in order for us to make smart decisions on where to invest more, what areas or channels maybe need some improvement. And then, of course, in some cases, pulling back and reevaluating which channels aren't performing and why they aren't.
Now, I'm going to say there's three kind of marketing agencies that I've seen. You can put you in this category. First one is, it looks really cool. It's amazing. You should love it because it looks really great. That's the it looks good one. And then there is, look at the numbers. We got a gazillion followers. We got this. It's all like numbers and statistics. And we got this many hits and this many leads and blah, blah, blah. And then there's the show me the money. Like they work basically on, if I generate revenue, I make more money. If I don't, I don't. So which category are you in?
Can I add in a fourth one too?
Go
Or
add a
can I
fourth
can
one.
I
Go
can
for it.
I
I'm
can I
out for new
combine
things.
some of
Go
them
for it.
too?
All right.
Well, I think one thing that's really important whenever you're picking a marketing agency is the actual relationship between that agency and your business, right? Because we all can come up here and say, we're going to get you more leads, right? But if that lead is just a bunch of like toilet repairs that actually don't lead to revenue, or that's not the type of job that your business organization is looking for, well, then it doesn't really mean much, right? Like that's not the lead type or the quality of lead that you're looking for. And I think that especially in home services where, we have businesses with different departments at staffing levels, right? Maybe their plumbing side is much bigger than their, remodeling side. Or maybe the season, right? There's a lot of seasonality in home services.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, we could pour a bunch of money into HVAC, but not see any return simply because there is no demand to be had in that market, right? And so one thing that's really important to Punchlist Digital is that relationship aspect of understanding what you as a client needs, right? Not only in this exact moment, but also in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, to develop a really strong marketing strategy that aligns with your overall business goals, but also aligns with what your marketing strategy is going to be in the future. And so I think that in general, Punchlist Digital attempts to, combine all three because all three do matter, whether or not you're looking at stats and number of clicks, right? Whether or not you're looking at revenue. And I forget what your first one was.
First one, just looking good in general. But so how do you charge for what you do? Do you charge, like monthly fee per results, per click, revenue? How do you structure your compensation?
Sure, flat rate. We're a flat rate agency. We do that for a couple of reasons. One is like whatever money you set aside for, Google Ads or search engine optimization, that's really what it should be pushed towards. We don't want to take or convince you that, hey, you should spend more because we're going to skim something off the top, right? So all of our fees are flat rate. So that's how our pricing structure works.
Now, supposedly now I hear this changing all the time, that SEO, they call it something else now besides SEO, having to do with AI. I forgot the name of it, but they changed the name.
Yeah,
Um,
GEO,
GPO, right. Like, what's that stand for again, Logan?
generative engine optimization.
Okay, so the new word. Okay, so how do you see I mean, obviously Google wants to stay on top and they've got more money than God, so to speak, right? And so they've changed their algorithms now. So literally, even though AI is looking for, my understanding, even though AI is doing a better job of connecting the right person because it does way better search than just paying for the right keywords. And it goes down and actually looks at videos and checks you out and tries to match you. I guess Google's come up with a way that you even have to pay more to be at the top of the AI list than you used to be. Is that true? They keep changing the rules so they can make money.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So, what you're talking about are ads and something called AI overviews. And so you see AI overviews now fire on a lot of queries. So, for example, if you were to type in, best remodeling contractor near me, an AI overview might pop with a couple paragraphs that lists out what are some of the, highly rated or trusted companies around you. And then they would have links in that AI overview to those businesses' websites in order for you to convert. But what we're seeing now is Google is aggressively pushing ads in AI overviews. And there's a couple of ways that Google tells you that you can get into a AI overview as an advertiser. So one of them is running Performance Max. So a Performance Max campaign inside of Google Ads is a generally pretty broad campaign. It covers a lot of the marketing funnel from a display ad, which is if you've ever been in market for like a new car or a new couch, and then every single site that you go to has an ad for like 𝗕𝗏𝗃 or your local Toyota dealer. That's a display ad. Or sometimes when you open up your Gmail or your Google News feed, you'll get ads as well inside of your Gmail or your Google News feed. That would be called a demand gen ad. And then we also see YouTube run on Performance Max. So if you create video and photo assets, those can apply. And then finally, lowest funnel with Performance Max would be a search ad, which would be just like, you've typed in that remodeling contractor near me. And then in that sponsored results section on the results page, you see, a search ad. So that's one way, is by running Performance Max campaigns. Now, the other way is by enabling AI Max on your search campaigns. And I want to caution this. If you're going to enable AI Max on your search campaigns, it's really, really important that you're going in daily and you're negating poor search terms, because this broadens the scope of your campaign significantly by switching all of your keywords over to Broad Max.
Yeah. So what is that? I mean, going in daily also sounds scary to me. I know I'm gonna do anything daily, right? So maybe Camille gets a question. What does going in daily mean to your search ads?
Logan, do you want to take that one since it's paid search focused?
I can, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so one is that you shouldn't make massive changes to your Google Ads account on a daily basis. But what you should do is that you should look for areas of inefficiency in your Google Ads on a daily basis. So that could be simply adding in something called like a negative search term. For example, in home services, we see a lot of competitors' names fire on search ads, right? And generally, if somebody's typing in a home services company, they've kind of already made up their mind to use them, right? And so we waste a lot of spend on poor clicks, right? Well, the reason why I was talking about AI Max as one that you should be watching daily is because it brings in a lot of poor search terms just because your keywords are expanded to a broad match. And in that same vein, it uses all of the pages on your site in order to help kind of create new ads. And so you really have to guide the system, especially as you're enabling it, in order to get the results that you want.
It sounds like it's getting more complicated instead of less complicated. So I have a question with especially in the trades and stuff, there's a bunch of private equity coming in. They've got more money and more expertise and that kind of stuff. So let's say you've got a private equity firm coming in, roofing or plumbing or whatever, and they're buying a bunch of companies and have tons of cash. How does a local guy who doesn't have the same kind of budget compete with some private equity firm that has like way more money and way more expertise and try to still hang in there with Google if they haven't got the same spend?
It's a really good question. So one thing that small businesses generally have on private equity is agility. It takes them much longer to make decisions and to push them through. And the second thing that private equity does not have on small businesses is what their value adds are and what they actually mean to the community that they serve, right? So we absolutely do see private equity come in and buy really large businesses, right? Or a bunch of businesses, right? Really consolidate the market.
Right.
That being said, that's a perfect opportunity for the local businesses to really start to flex that they are local, right? That they are heavily involved in the community. They may not be able to compete with them on budgets, but it doesn't mean that they can't run ads and still be extremely successful in doing so, right? Because as a consumer myself, right, if I'm looking for a business, I generally do try to shop local, right? I try to support businesses that support the community that I'm in and really have like the same values that I have. So we've got, clients around the country. Some of them are like veteran owned, right? And so we're really honing in on that messaging, right? That, hey, this is a veteran owned company and they offer military discounts, or they're heavily involved in some of like the VFWs and supporting them locally. And all of those can really differentiate yourself from a PE group, which generally just buy. And then it's the same model over and over again, right? And so we then start to see ad copy look the same, websites look the same. The moment that somebody clicks on your ad, one is they clicked on it for a reason, you're helping them solve a problem, or two, they aligned with your overall brand values and identity, right? Well, then once they get to that website, being able to hammer that in even more, talking about your values as a business, what makes
The
you
fact that you
unique.
might be members of the Chamber of Commerce or support the Little League or whatever, right?
100%, right? And to your point, it's all about communication, or as we like to call it, marketing, right? How are you delivering that message to the consumers that you want to serve, right? In a way that's palatable, in a way that makes sense to them and makes them want to use you as a business. Hope that answers your question.
So why don't you give me a success story and a failure? Because everybody has both. We all have those, right? So give me a success story that you knocked it out of the park, and then maybe somebody that didn't work out so well and why. Don't get the name of the company, just the ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things, especially as we transition over to a more AI-driven algorithm, is what does that actually look like, and what does the AI want to like read and consume? And believe it or not, one of the things that AI generally wants to consume more about is your business. And so we did a simple test on really expanding what the About Us page of a business looked like. So including much more about their own business like values and like what are their key drivers? What do they do in the community? Who are the owners, right? And why do they matter? How long have they lived there? And what we saw is actually about a 50% lift in the citations that AI gave us when doing searches in the AI overview. So huge success there, right? And something that we can absolutely emulate for businesses. And then failures. Wow. Well, for one, I actually think like failing is really important in any business. Failure means that you're growing, means that you're learning. I think the only time that failure becomes an issue is when you're repeating the same mistake over and over again. And that's the definition of insanity, right? And so I think one failure that we had was we had a client that really wanted to run a remarketing campaign for their current members about a rebate program that we were running. And, we had talked to them about the audience being a little bit too broad. And we had kind of cautioned them on it, but maybe we didn't tell them all of the risks associated with spending that large budget on maybe too broad of a group, right? And it ended up not being successful. We spent quite a bit of money, about $2,000, and we didn't really see any returns from it. So that being said, it was a failure, but what we did learn was we narrowed the targeting down. We separated it out and created more specific ad copy with their help and some better creative aligned with kind of the members' overall demographic profile. And in doing so, we saw a much higher lift, and that campaign continues to run and be successful.
So you're saying good clients listen to you and bad clients don't?
No, I wish that was the truth. I think it's a two-way street, right?
Right.
I can't sit in your business every single day and understand all the things that are going on. But what I can do is I can meet with you on, every 2 weeks, and we can talk about what are some of the struggles that you're having, right? / what am I personally seeing inside of the account or based off of the data points? and give you suggestions, right? Whether or not you take them, that's totally up to you, but it goes both ways, right? Because you're giving me suggestions about what you need to see improvements on. And then as a marketing agency, we're coming to you with solutions.
So who would you say is your ideal candidate if you're going to make a description for that?
Yeah, I think that generally we try to focus on what I consider to be like the core 5 trades. So that's plumbing, heating and cooling, drains, and electrical. Those are generally kind of our bread and butter. One of the reasons for that is the transaction cycle is extremely short. So, if you're in market for a car, you might be looking for a few months. But I live in Minnesota. And so if I walk into my home and it's negative 20 degrees outside and my furnace isn't working, we've got a major problem, right? It's dangerous, just like it's dangerous in the South when the AC isn't working. And so we see a transaction cycle of when somebody realizes that their furnace or AC is broken, for example, about 20 to 40 minutes before they contact a business.
So you want people that are in a hurry to buy. I mean, not like somebody who's going to buy a house or remodel their kitchen. You want people they're going to make a decision fairly quickly and do something within the next week or something. It's not like months.
I mean, generally, our strategy is just built out for those clients, right? It's not that we can't service longer transaction cycles. They require just a different strategy. People want to see more like pictures, right? So before and afters, or they want to understand cost becomes a bigger concern when you're talking about like remodels and roofing, right? Or insurance does, for example. And so those are all just factors that it's not that we can't help or assist with, but if you're talking about like what our general clientele looks like, it would be those 5.
So Logan, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and find out more, what do they do? Where do they find you?
Yeah, so they can go to the punchlessdigital.com website. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Logan Bergevin, should see me there. Or I don't know if there's a way to include any links in the podcast, but I can absolutely drop you a link to our website.
And so they go basically punchlessdigital.com, then they can get a demo. It's on the website, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Logan. I appreciate that. So if you're not happy with your marketing company, and I know that happens a lot, and you're looking at changing in the new year, I think you should give Logan a call. Thank you for being here, Logan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul.